It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for our Top 4 in 4 countdown, where I review the top 4 stories of the week in 4 minutes. These headlines consist of the news stories that everyone is talking about. Let's begin. Starting with headline number 4, the Chicago Police Department says the city recorded 90 homicides in August, its highest monthly death toll in 20 years. The department on Thursday released data for last month. The Chicago Sun-Times reporting that the previous highest monthly homicide tally in Chicago was in August 1996. Citing historic Chicago Police Department data, it did not provide the number of deaths. The 90 homicides for this August compared to 54 killed in the same month last year. Police say they made 18% more murder arrests this August compared to August 2015. Police say there were 384 shooting incidents and 475 shooting victims during August 2016. The department says 5 districts on the city's south and west sides account for the majority of the violence. Well, the former Stanford University swimmer convicted of sexual assault is scheduled to be released from Santa Clara County Jail Friday. Brock Turner was sentenced in June to 6 months in prison, but will get out 3 months early. The case created a huge public outcry and calls for the judge's removal from critics who call the judge's punishment too light. That, according to CBS News. Week after week, demonstrators outside California's Judicial Commission have called for the removal of Brock Turner's sentencing judge, Aaron Persky. Ultraviolet, an organization dedicated to fighting sexism and expanding women's rights, circulated an online petition and generated nearly 1 million clicks against the judge. Under mounting pressure, Persky was reassigned last week to hear only civil cases. Turner's lenient sentence for 3 counts of felony sexual assault burst into national attention with the release of a powerful letter from his still anonymous victim. In response to the Turner case, California lawmakers on Monday passed a bill requiring mandatory prison sentences for sexual assault of an unconscious victim, no longer allowing judges the discretion to impose probation only. The bill must be signed by Governor Jerry Brown before it becomes law. Well, we head up north for headline number 2. An independent investigator looking at sexual abuse at the elite Rhode Island boarding school of St. George's has issued a report documenting widespread abuse. It's a really shocking story. Among the findings is that at least 1 in 5 girls who attended the school in the 70s was abused by athletic trainer Al Gibbs. It also found 10 school employees sexually abused at least 51 students in the 70s and 80s, and at least 10 students were abused by fellow students. The report was issued Thursday by Martin Murphy, who was hired in January by the school and the survivors group SGS for Healing. Gibbs was fired in 1980 and has since died. The school acknowledged in December he abused 17 students. State police previously conducted their own investigation and said they would not bring charges. Meanwhile, after Flint, Michigan, I think we were all hoping the horror stories of lead poisoning in disadvantaged communities would end. Well, boy, were we wrong. Federal officials need more than $1 million to help an Indiana community relocate from its lead-poisoned land. EPA placed warning signs at the West Calumet housing complex advising people to not play in the dirt. The low-income housing complex was built in the 70s right on top of what was a lead refinery. Now, 4 decades later, more than 1,000 people who live there are being forced to uproot their lives in order to protect those most vulnerable to lead. The city's mayor notified low-income housing residents in July that the EPA recently informed him that soil sampling detected elevated levels of historic lead and arsenic in the complex. The mayor said he learned of this latest development at the end of May, but there are documents dating back to 2011 showing the city knew there was a serious problem. EPA officials continue to go door to door, testing each property's lawn for lead. Officials say housing vouchers will be given to residents to help them relocate. Meanwhile, the entire